Yeah, we've been here for the past 13 years. It's been a wonderful experience. Well, we were starting to receive some leaks, so we called a gentleman in, and he went and looked at the roof and around the skylight and told us that it needed to be redone. We went to take him and took out a mortgage and told the gentleman we had the money to go ahead and fix the roof. Unfortunately, it wasn't as good as he claimed it was. On the last time around, when he came for the 5th time, we were having trouble with leaks still. And so we called him back, and he claimed it was up coming from the ridge vent. So he removed it. And not long after that, we began to find out that was a mistake. If you went outside and looked, you could start to see the roof itself bulge. We called the insurance investigator. He talked to me for a few minutes, and then he went up on the roof, and he told me that was the worst roofing job he had ever seen. He suggested that we replace it, especially this part of the roof, because when you stand on the roof, it feels like a wet sponge, which means if we couldn't have got this done and we'd have got a heavy snowfall, it probably would have ended up all in my living room. The ceiling of the roof would have given in. When I asked him if they could help us out at all, he said, "I'm sorry, but we can't help you." Ouch. That was kind of a sock in the nose I wasn't expecting. Yeah, he came down and said, "I'm sorry, but it's the worst job I've ever seen, but we can't help you." One of the reasons we like the corner view here is because we have a nice view through our dining room picture window of the river and all the land across and around. And during the fall when the leaves are gone, it's a fantastic, wonderful view. And certain times of the year you can look up the mountain and see the colors, or the fall colors, and it's an absolutely beautiful sight, absolutely. It's just like somebody painted a picture and gave it to you. After a while, we looked at it and decided maybe it was time to check on getting it fixed. We called like 14 different roofers. Most of them went between $12,500 and $15,000, which, wow, was an extreme more amount of money than we could ever afford. Couldn't even have touched it if we tried for the next 5 years. I don't know. It's hard to describe the feeling of despair. It was rough. It was kind of sad, and I really didn't want to lose my home. But I had to try to figure out how to go somewhere because we had no place to go. We'd have been either living in a car or pitching a tent. And I told her, I said, "Well, I've lived in tents before, that's no big deal. You can get a big tent, have a 3-room tent, and put a stove up through the top of it, and there's your heat." But we received a call from a gentleman named Wayne Dunham. He's a gentleman that works with Clear Path. Talked to him, and I said, next thing I got to do is find somebody to maybe get a loan through or a grant or something to get my roof fixed. And that's when he recommended Julie and gave me her personal cell phone.
Yeah, when I heard that, his next step was being in his car, him and his wife, that just put me into full gear, and I knew I had to do something.
He said, "If anybody can help you, Julie can."
And I spoke with Robert, and his story was compelling. He's living in his home that water is quite literally leaking through the roof into the house, which is making it a very, dangerous situation for anyone, let alone an elderly couple with health issues. So, I felt, even though it's not something Homeland Heroes would normally do, a roof, because it's a very big expense, I felt an obligation to him, as I always do with every veteran that asks for things that we don't normally do. I like to try to make it happen somehow.
She said, please, give me a little time, Robert, and I'll be back to you.
So then our next process was to get a quote. I happened to be talking to Michelle LeMay, and so we met, and I said, well, I just so happen to have an elderly gentleman who's in need of a roof, and there's no way that Homeland Heroes could support the entire bill for that. Are you interested in doing something with us? And she immediately said, yes, I am, of course I am, and so that's where the ball started to roll.
I always said to Julie, if there's anything that's going on locally in the community, anything that we can help with, we as LeMay Family Good Works want to be here to help. With Julie and I and this veteran who needed a roof, I said just, leave it on our desk for a little bit. And we went out to our social media and we posted calling all roofers. We're looking for a roofing company that would help a veteran. And it was a perfect example of roofing companies reaching out, and there were a few of them that said, we'd like to be a part of this, how can we help? James and Whitney stood out because they had already done a roof for a family, and they did a great job at it.
So we received a call from Michelle LeMay at LeMay Family Good Works Foundation asking us if we would come out just to take a look at the roof. At that point, my initial inspection, just walking the roof, going inside, I realized that this whole roof needed to be replaced. It was very soft to walk on, which is typically a sign of wet plywood, which is the result of water getting underneath the shingles. We made a few phone calls, and with the support of Homeland Heroes, Michelle LeMay at LeMay Family Good Works, Easter Seals in New Hampshire, our partners at GAF and Lansing Building Supplies, we were able to get this roof done at no cost to the homeowner.
And the next call I got was, sit back, relax, it's all taken care of. It was like, wow. It was like somebody took a whole 100,000 pounds off my shoulders and just threw it away.
The crew is hard at work right now. We'll go straight through probably to about 4 or 5 o'clock tonight, and the homeowner will have a brand new roof today. It was exactly what we thought, a little bit worse actually. We were pulling the shingles off and the plywood underneath was actually disintegrating. As we were pulling them up, we didn't even need to use any tools. At James and Whitney Company, we pride ourselves on giving back to the community. Whether in New Hampshire or Maine, we're always here to help out whenever we find someone in need.
The fact that this veteran has an actual real roof over his head, it's so impressive, and at the same time, there were so many people involved. It took a small village to make it happen, and we are so happy that we could be a part of that.
So the Rhodes now have a brand new roof, and they're living quite happily in a warm and safe environment, and we were very happy to be able to help with that.
Homeland Heroes, we're proud of their work. We love to support them, and I know that there's so much more that we can do with Homeland Heroes, and they are one of our favorites, and we want to keep working and keep serving these veterans through Homeland Heroes, and we think we have a really good thing going on.
I couldn't begin to know how to thank her. I really couldn't. I told her, I said, if you come down here, you're probably going to get the biggest hug in the whole world. And if I don't cry on your shoulders, I'll be surprised. That's what she told me. She told me, hugs are fine. I just love hugs.
Veterans are very proud people, and they don't like to ask for help, but it happens. It can happen to any of us. It doesn't make someone bad or lazy or any of those things. It just is a fact of life.
You really can't describe the feeling when you get told you need to do something and you can't, and you feel like you're letting yourself down, and my wife, who's my family, and then all of a sudden somebody comes along, you make a couple of phone calls, and bingo. Instead of losing your home, you're going to get to keep it. And that's the most fantastic feeling in the whole world.
But veterans, they served our country, and a lot of them, they're tough guys, and the last thing that they want to do is ask anyone for anything. They can do it. They're taught that in the military. There's nothing they can't do. They're going to find a way no matter what, and they believe that, and we don't make them feel at all like this is a shameful thing. You know, we definitely make them, we giggle with them and we make them laugh and we make them feel very dignified. It's a dignified experience when they come into our donation centers. We don't have junk. We have nice things that's donated to us through our community.
Okay, Julie, I want you to know you feel like an angel from heaven to me. And I don't know how to thank you, but I can just say from my heart, I thank you all so much for your help.
After they're done with us, I think they take a sigh of relief, knowing that, you know, hey, look at these people really cared about us, and it was nothing to feel ashamed about. Everyone could use a hand up from time to time, and that's how they end up, you know, leaving. And they all ask, what can I do for you? And I simply say, pay it forward. And many of them come back to us, and through the years have helped us. They'll come to our events, they'll come and help us hand out turkeys or hams at Christmas, or help with the Christmas toys. And so it all ends up really good.